Hello and welcome to the You Are the Program podcast. Post-game week 1. Michigan State 1-0. They take down Western Michigan 23-6 in what I think was an interesting game. I'm excited to talk about this with you guys. Started off good. Second half not so good. But either way, before we start, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast anywhere where you get your podcasts, even here on YouTube. We'll continue to move through the weeks here, but without any further ado, I want to get straight into this game and welcome in Brian Lewerke, Tyler Higbee, along with your co-host here, Dante Rosano. Fellas, what was your biggest impression, kind of first glance watching through that game on Friday night?
It's kind of just a big bucket of I don't know. Like the first half, which I'm sure everyone's saying was very good. We had a lot of things rolling offensively. Defense looked fantastic. Honestly, the entire game, the defense looked good. But offense was rolling in the first half pretty well, and then couldn't really figure anything out. We had 6 possessions in the second half, 4 punts, a fumble, and a pick 6. So not a lot went good offensively in the second half. But it was kind of just like an game. I was like, I don't know. It was fine. We won, but I didn't really see a lot.
I think of the three of us, I was the most positive coming out of this game. I watched it back yesterday morning, and obviously there were some things that we want to clean up on both sides of the ball. But like you said, Brian, defensively, this team flew around. It was really good to see. They kind of did what we thought they were going to do. They kind of shut down the Western passing game. There was a couple catches early where you just kind of tip your cap. You're like, damn, it's a good throw, perfectly thrown ball, really good catch. Not a whole lot you can do about that, but they're in good spots. And I was mostly impressed with the run game. We talked about trying to be balanced, trying to impose your will, and I think for the most part, they did that in the run game. I was definitely pleasantly surprised. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but happy with what the run game showed in week 1.
I think it's very okay to be surprised by that. And I was. I mean, Brian, you talked about first half, second half, kind of a tale of two halves. It felt like you were seeing the blueprint for what a Jonathan Smith team wanted to be in the first half. You were seeing them run the ball with efficiency. When they play action, they got easy completions. And besides that, I mean, defensively, they were flying around. They were flying around defensively, and they were getting sacks, turnovers. They ended the half. What was that? Western? That was brutal. The kicking game kind of showed.
Ours or Westerns?
Ours. Well, I mean, both, honestly. Both kicking games were tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not reading too much into ours because Eckley's not going to be our kicker. That's just I mean, it's just a Band-Aid for now. Hopefully these guys get healthy because you can't make it through a whole season without a kicker.
Do we know how long these guys are out for? Have they announced that?
One of them was game time this week, so I would assume one of them's at least back for next week.
Okay,
would be my assumption.
And also, I mean, how far it was a 46-yarder for Eckley? Like,
yeah.
I feel like 40 and in, I'd be more confident. 46, that's a tough field goal for any college kicker.
He wasn't gonna kick 40 and in. He was only gonna kick anything longer. Blake Sislow, I think, is their third kicker. He was going to kick. They said his range was about 42 is what they felt confident with.
Yeah, so I think Eckley was like our long field goal specialist. So
yeah, I mean, overall, and let's get into a little bit more detail, but overall, offensively, it was really good for one half. Another half, it wasn't very good at all. And we'll get into, I think, some of the reasons for what that may have been. But defensively, I thought it was great the entire time. So I get, Tyler, some of my disappointment with Friday night was not necessarily what we put on the field, but what I felt like we could have done because we had so much ease. And now let's get into some of the concerns. And so the first half, I think we scored, well, it was 21-0 quickly. Was it the first 3 possessions or was it 3 of the first 4?
I think it was the first 3.
And in that time when this offense was clicking, the run game holes were ginormous. And I think, I don't know if it was as different or anything schematically that they changed from last year, but you could just tell in terms of the guys that they brought in, and specifically, I noticed it over the right side of that offensive line. When we went wide zone over the right side, they were ginormous holes for whichever Brandon Tullis or Mekhi Frazier to run through. And that's what really stuck out to me in the run game. Good stuff first half offensively.
Yeah, I mean, you could have driven a 747 through the holes that the offensive line were creating for Mekhi Frazier and Brandon Tullis, which I think is going to be a pretty good two-headed monster, two-headed little running back duo we got upcoming. But yeah, I was very impressed with the running game. 181 yards total. Excuse me, 186 yards total rushing. So pretty close to our. I think we all agreed that like 200 yards rushing was going to be the goal for this game, and we'd be very happy with that. So pretty close to that. We held them to only 30 yards rushing, so won that by a wide margin. So it was great to see the O-line was getting a lot of push up front in the run game.
Yeah, and as good as the run game was, I wasn't as displeased with the pass protection as probably most people were. Really, it's the tackle spots. Interior wise, I think we're going to be solid. It's the tackles. I also think that dude for Western is going to be he's going to be
a good player.
First team MAC. He's going to be a good player. With that being said, I mean you gotta kind of address this before it turns into a real problem. I mean, we kind of talked about it going into the game. I'd like to see them keep 5 guys there throughout the game. Yes, maybe get a 6th man that's rotating through, a 7th man rotating through for a series. But you got to start to build continuity with these 5 guys across the board early. And that really, I think it matters more in the pass pro when it comes to exchanging twists, that kind of stuff. You can kind of plug and play in a run game, but pass pro, a lot of it was just getting beat off the edge too. And that's just maybe a guy being better than who we got. So we'll see.
So yeah, up front, we rotated 7 guys. 7 guys took snaps, and it seemed like, I think Jonathan Smith even talked about it. I believe it was every series they were going with some type of different combination, whether it was Connor Moore flipping over to left tackle and Ashton Lepo coming in at right tackle. The guard position had 3 different guys rotating there, including Caleb Carter, who I didn't even know was in the playing rotation. And we were talking pre-show. Not familiar with that name. I was expecting that to be Luka Vincic, the transfer from Oregon State, who was held out of the game. Now, that was probably his spot. So I wonder if they were planning on rotating 4 different guards in there and kind of getting a 2 deep. So that's where some of my interest comes with the offensive line. But I want to focus on the positives for right now offensively. We talked about the run game. I want to talk about some of the positives of the pass game early on. And it's exactly what we talked about in the pregame show of let's get some easy stuff for Aiden Childs. Let's get it in the hands of the receivers. And very early on, it was apparent that Amari Kelly is going to be a very good receiver. They got the ball to him quick. They got the ball out of Aiden Childs' hands. Like, that was my biggest excitement for the first half of just the game plan coming together, exactly what we kind of wanted to see, and exactly what makes sense for this offense is running the ball, making it easy on Aiden Childs. When you are throwing the ball, it's either something quick game or it's a boot action to where he's just getting rid of the ball quickly. It's kind of a layup. It's your first read. You got him. Right. So I think that was the really positive from the pass game in the first half was kind of everything gelled together. And I think it made a ton of sense into what I think a Jonathan Smith or a Brian Lindgren offense wants to be.
Yeah, I'll keep on the same theme with the positives offensively. I thought the wide receiver room looked great. Amari Kelly was obviously a target that Aiden Childs likes, and we can tell that he enjoyed throwing to him in the offseason. He's kind of that quick, shifty guy in the slot that is able to get open, and you always trust him to make the play, make a guy miss, and get extra yards. So it was great to see the quick game was working, the bubble screens were working, getting the ball to our playmakers in space was fine. So that was awesome to see. Aiden Childs. Actually, I won't talk about the negatives right now. I'll just keep it
positive right now.
I'll keep with the positives right now. So I loved our play calling early on. We were just getting the ball out quickly and making Western defend us in space, which they weren't able to do very well. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but I thought it was pretty close to perfection the first few drives. I mean, play calling, execution, it was pretty clean across the board. So I mean, I thought it was very good to start the game, even going into halftime.
Let's continue on the positives and let's talk about the defense that has been the biggest question mark. And I feel this is where it's a nuanced and interesting discussion about the game Friday night, because our biggest question mark coming in, we all thought was going to be the defense. Now that's for a couple different reasons, right? Some of it was the talent that we brought in on offense. We felt comfortable on that side of the ball. But some of it was also who we were losing on the defense, and then also the lack of pass rush that we got pretty much the entirety of last season. Positively, defensively on that side of the ball, there's not a ton of negatives to talk about. And I can't say any more positives about the defense without first mentioning Jordan Hall, because I thought he was absolutely incredible in this game. And I want to pull a couple different clips during this week and from this game specifically, that he, by not even making a play, I specifically, the safety points out to the top of my head, because he drove the guard, I think 3 or 4 yards back into the end zone on a blitz, didn't make the play, but because he did that, he freed up everyone else on the defensive line to go make that safety. I thought he was phenomenal. He had a sack. He had a hit. He had 4 tackles, or I think he actually had 8. I don't know if that's.
He had 8 total. Yep.
Yeah, 8 total, 4 solo. It's really fun to see a linebacker of his caliber, the energy that he brings to that side of the ball as well. It was really fun to watch that defense and him specifically in the middle of that defense.
Yeah, I think he's obviously the leader and captain of this defense, as he should. I also want to give credit to Joe Rossi. I thought he had a great game plan. Early on, it seemed like we were doing a lot of man coverage and forcing the Western's quarterback to beat us with his arm, which he was a pretty good quarterback. I'm not gonna lie. He could sling the rock a little bit. He just had zero time to throw the ball once the game got on. But I think we were kind of trying to test our DBs and see how good they were in man coverage early in the game, with a lot of cover one on early downs and then some pressure looks on third down. Me and Dante were texting during the game about one of the third down looks that Joe Rossi had cooked up. It looked like a cover 0. And then there's like 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, like 3 guys drop out, and it becomes like a 3 deep coverage. Quarterback and the O-line have no clue which guys are blitzing, which guys aren't. I love plays like that. So I think Joe Rossi did a great job with the game plan. If he's showing that in the first game of the year, it means he's got a lot cooked up, got a lot up his sleeve, hopefully for the Big Ten
Let him
team
cook.
later on. Let Joe Rossi cook.
Yeah, I mean, we all talked about it, I think, last week leading into the game. And we think the secondary is good enough where it's going to free up Rossi. It's going to free up the rest of the defense to be able to be a little more exotic and give some different looks. And no better time to do it than week 1 against a lesser opponent, to try to see what you can do, what you can get away with if the back end can hold up. I was really impressed with the pressure this D-line got. 4 sacks, but a lot of QB hits. The quarterback was never really comfortable, I thought, throughout the game, which is a really good sign. I mean, who knows how good Western's O-line is, but, I mean, you got a lot of pressure. You got 4 sacks. You can always build on 4 sacks. And I thought they were stout in the run game as well. Western's run game was never really able to get going, which is, I mean, you make a team one-dimensional. We've talked about it before. It makes it hard to win.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the defense, and they pitched a shutout. The 6 points that came in this game were from a pick 6 from Alessio. Tough, 2 career passes, two interceptions. Not a great start.
I think he's actually a good quarterback too. I like him a lot.
Yeah. So I'm not letting that dissuade me at all. But to your point, Tyler, Western on the ground, 24 carries for 29 yards, 1.2 per rush. Passing wise, they were 16 of 33, under 50% completion percentage for under 200 yards. And another huge thing that stuck out to me about this defense was early on, and a couple times that Western did hit plays, there was nothing else. Like, Brian, you talked about it being man coverage, and they hit a couple that it wasn't bad coverage at all. Like that's where I think some of the time you see a big play, and sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the offense. Like you talked about, I think the Western quarterback that was in there,
Brady Jones.
Brady Jones.
Yeah.
I thought he threw some good balls, and specifically on the first series, he hits one over the top. Not awful coverage. It was just a very good throw and catch.
Yeah.
And they shut him off. I don't think they got another first down that drive. And so that was kind of the theme, that they got nothing. And even when they did get something, they got nothing after that. And so that's what was really impressive, is just the response out of that defense. So we'll see, because there's going to be a much bigger test coming in Boston College. But I do like some of the things that we saw pressure-wise. I don't think we generated a ton of just base 4-man pressure, which worries me a little bit. But I think that there's room to grow there. I think the defensive backs have more to do. And Brian, to your point with that double mug look, I think there's going to be more to play off of that, and with the experience that they have on the back end. And Kai Martinez didn't even play. He was held out of this game. So really, really, really complimentary of this defense. It's not that I was worried about the defense coming in. I just didn't know what it would look like. But I had faith in Joe Rossi, and that's kind of held through. So anything else positively, because I want to focus a lot of the discussion on where I think my disappointment came from. Not to make this a negative podcast, but I think it's an interesting discussion.
Ready.
All right. So let's talk about where some of my disappointment came with. And Tyler, you had said that you had looked at the game probably from the most optimistic view. And my disappointment really came in the second half with how the offense specifically did not look clean, did not look sharp. And I think schematically they tried to do different stuff on offense because they were having so much success through the run game in the first half, that I really think there was more of an effort. I would need to look at some of the snaps and rewatch the game, but there was more straight dropbacks. There was more deeper drops for Childs, to where it felt like he had to make more reads. And that felt like almost a strategic thing that we did at half. And that's when a lot of the sacks came in. That's where some of the errant throws came in. And that's where our offense stalled out. And that, for me, is kind of a big worry, to the fact where it seemed offensively in the first half like we could do anything we wanted to them on the ground. And we probably could have stayed with that in the second half and scored 35, 40 points and just kind of ground them down. But it felt like there was a big emphasis on the pass game in the second half. And that's when we stalled and the offense did not look good. And that's worrisome for me going forward here.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of plays. I'm trying to think back where Aiden Childs just took a 3-step drop in the pocket, and 3-step drop and get it out, or a 3-step hitch, get it out. Yeah. There's maybe 3 or 4 plays where that was the case. All the other stuff that he completed were quick hitters or time where he's navigating the pocket for 5-6 seconds. I think one thing about Aiden Childs, obviously, I think he's a great quarterback. That's without question. His footwork, I think, could be improved upon. I think it's affecting his accuracy a lot. There's still those throws where they're completed, but they're like on the back hip instead of out in front on the front shoulder, or balls slightly high where the receiver has to jump and is not able to turn around and get upfield quickly. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like the footwork wise from Aiden Childs improved a lot over the offseason, and I think that could be an issue going forward. But I don't know. I would just love to see his accuracy improve a little bit in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. There was a few throws definitely that he had in the second half. We talked about the drive stalling out. He makes a better throw. These drives continue, or instead of 3rd and 12, I think it was, or 3rd and 14, it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Obviously, that's way more manageable than 3rd and 13, 3rd and 14. So his accuracy is an issue. There was a drop too. It was a good throw. There was a drop. I don't remember who dropped it. And then you see flashes that, like, he had the throw from across the hash to, is it like a deep out or something? Like, there's still those flashes where it's like, damn, dude, like, we need to clean up the footwork a little bit, and he could be. I mean, it's unbelievable the talent that's there. He's just got to just clean up the footwork, like you said, Brian. And the last point I'll make too, the one good drive that this team did have in the second half ended in that sack fumble. That's on the running back. It was pretty clean. It was pretty clean up front, from what I remember. I don't remember which running back was in, but
I'm 90% sure it was Tolis, and he had to come across to it was either an edge or a blitz.
Yeah. But as a running back, that's something you got to see, and you're kind of scanning pre-snap, and I feel like they were kind of giving it away too, like the guy creeping up off the edge. So that's just something that maybe you got to clean up during the week.
At the end of the day, too, and something I had to remind myself of is it wasn't clean, but it was an efficient game from him. And I think the biggest thing that we talked about maturity-wise going into this year that we wanted to see growth from Aiden Childs was decision-making. And if anything, it did seem like he was more decisive. He was getting into his checks. And when he didn't see something, he was more decisive to take off with his legs, which I liked. He had a couple good runs.
Do you think that had more to do with play calling, or do you think it was more of him, or both?
No, because he still extended plays and threw the ball. Like there was 2 throws off schedule that he missed. The one, I think, if it was a receiver, I think again it was to Tullis that was deep down the field. I thought that was a great throw. If that's a receiver, I think he tracks it better and makes that catch. Yep. The one to McCray, that would have been a touchdown that he overthrew. He just seemed to get a little ahead of himself mechanically because there was nobody there. You can underthrow that ball and it's going to be completed. But, I think for the most part, if you look at how he handled when the pocket broke down, what he did to either get rid of the ball or tuck it and run, he was more decisive there. And he didn't make as many of the throws that were the hero ball throws when stuff's breaking down around him, trying to throw something across his body. It felt like when he was making decisions, he was decisive and he was a lot smarter with those decisions that were being made. So I do want to give a lot of credit there.
100% agreed. That was probably my biggest takeaway from him, is that obviously he worked on his mental side of the game a little bit in the offseason, and wasn't making those throws that could cost Michigan State the game. Obviously, I don't think it would have changed the outcome of this game, but later on this season, it could be. There's a time and place. I mean, honestly, I don't hate if he's taking those hero ball throws in a game where we have to get back into it, if that's the case. But I did like to see I don't think there's a single throw that was like a turnover worthy throw, is what they call it, that could have been intercepted. Are you thinking of one, Dante?
No, I'm trying to find that now on PFF because I believe that is something that is
like turnover worthy percentage or something like that.
Tracked. Tyler, you talk about this for a second. I'll try and find it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Brian. It's good to see he never put the ball in harm's way, and there's definitely times last year where it's like maybe eating a sack there, or even just trying to get out and throw it away. I mean, obviously it's better than throwing it late down the middle across your body, like the golden rule never to do. So it's just good to see that he's taking a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think also a part of that and of making good decisions is that internal clock he has in the pocket. Yeah, which I think was okay. There was a couple of times where I feel like he either got out of the pocket too quickly or stood in there a little too long and wasn't like moving correctly in the pocket. Which is tough to do. It's never an easy thing to do because you don't have eyes. You're looking downfield. You kind of got to feel everything. So I think he did a decent job in that. Obviously, any quarterback can improve, and he's probably in the same boat as everyone else. So
he did have 2 turnover-worthy throws.
Really?
Yep. Okay. 2 turnover-worthy throws, and he didn't have any big-time throws either. So that's it. It's going to be interesting to watch. And I was trying to pull up. All of the Big Ten. Statistically and advanced statistically, I don't remember those throws, though. I think one of them might have been he threw on behind Amari Kelly that Amari Kelly caught. It was off a play fake. And
the little
I think if he throws that one in front of him, that might have been grabbed by a linebacker. But again, I don't have too much of an issue with that throw. I don't think it was anything egregious, and I don't remember any off the top of my head. It felt like last year, whether or not he was throwing an interception early in the year, there was numerous throws that it was like, that probably should have been picked off. So I at the end of the day, I don't want to be too negative because I do think everyone always says it when your team doesn't look good enough in the first game, or they're not convincing winning by 50. Everyone's like, oh, they're holding stuff back. They didn't want it. They wanted to be vanilla. I really don't think that's a huge part of the conversation, and specifically for this game. I thought they showed a good amount offensively, at least in that first half. And yeah, maybe they're not digging into trick plays, but I don't think they really held a ton back. But regardless of if they held stuff back or not, my disappointment came from I think they could have scored 30 to 40. This was a game where we're talking about the offense this year should be elevated. I think we all expect this to be a much better offense than last year. At the end of the day, you scored 23 points, right? That's kind of where my frustration comes from. If you want to be a much better offense, and Aiden Childs talked about all season wanting to get or all off season wanting to get the monkey off the back. This is a different team, all of that stuff, and then you come out a half flat, and that's where it's like, look, I need to see it. I need to see it on the field, and I understand that we're not gonna win 10 games by beating Western 50-0 or 50-6. But I'd like to see you have that type of mentality coming out, especially coming out of halftime and saying, hey, we can do anything we want to these guys. Let's go up and put 40 or 50 on the board.
I do agree. And I think we could have continued, which we did actually do a little bit of what we did in the first half in the second half. But the execution just wasn't there, I don't think. So I don't know. I would love to see at least 2 touchdowns in the second half and make it like it would be 37-6, 37-6 total score. I would love to see that from the offense. I guess I kind of share that same disappointment in that sense, Dante, of that we should be putting up more points. It doesn't matter if this team is Western Michigan or USC in a couple weeks. We need to be scoring 28 points, I think. Well, I mean, we don't need to, but like 24 to 28 points, I think is a good margin for an offense to average every week. So I agree with you in that sense. Yes.
Oh, good.
You're all good. You don't have any rebuttal for my disappointment there?
I mean, I was going to play devil's advocate. I don't know if it's good of me to say those, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut for now.
Devil's advocate to what? Just wanting to score more, or just
just the mentality in the second half. Like, so you guys remember when you play a lesser team, especially once you get to the fourth quarter, it's kind of like, all right, let's get out of here. Like, let's pack it up. At some point, I get coming at it for the second half, coming out flat. Obviously, I would like to come out better, get a touchdown, get a couple scores. Once you start mixing in some other guys, it's like, all right, let's get out of here. So that's the only thing I would just I guess play devil's advocate with is, you guys know how it is. You guys know how we were when we played. Once you get to the fourth quarter playing a team like Western, it's like, all right, let's pack it up. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I don't think that that's wrong at all, and that's probably some of what it was. But again, that's where I just go back to my standpoint of, all right, if you're going to talk like this is a different team, I kind of want to see it, and especially out of halftime. You showed us in the first half, I think, what we feel like this offense and this team could be. And you're not, again, I always want to preface this by, we're not winning any extra games by beating up on Western Michigan, right? How we looked week one and across the country, and this is one thing I want to wrap up with, is our stock up, stock down in the Big Ten. But how we look week one is not going to be the same that we are week 4, week 5. So that, like, at the end of the day, I understand we can hold this neutral, and we have a much bigger test coming in next week. Keep guys healthy no matter what. But I just would have liked to see a little bit cleaner production in the second half. So enough of that. I think for the most part, we saw potential of the offense. We saw definitely potential of the defense, but there's a much bigger test coming in next weekend. Boston College scored 66 points against they played Fordham, though, so I don't really know what that means. We'll see.
Ryan
I'm
Eckley
excited.
was as advertised. Props to him. I said Ryan Eckley was as advertised.
Yeah.
Good player.
What, was it 2 or 3 inside the 5?
I mean,
it was at least 2. It was at least 2.
At least 2. Might have had 3 inside the 10.
Yeah, that guy's he's great. He's great.
I have one final thought on this game. everyone obviously was overreacting in the first half. Like, hey, yeah, we're winning the Natty, we're winning the Big Ten after the start we had. And I was kind of more mellowed out. And I think if we can play consistently how we played in the first half and all the other games, I think we could be an 8 to 9 win team. I don't think the expectations are going through the roof, and things aren't going to change suddenly. I still think this team is probably maybe an 7 to 8 to 9 win team, depending on how the rest of the Big Ten shakes up. And the middle of that Big Ten kind of looks. They didn't look great over the weekend. Those kind of middle teams. Iowa looked bad. Northwestern looked bad. And Iowa, I think we all kind of expected to be solid. So actually, I guess this is kind of going into our next conversation about Big Ten teams. But I still think the expectations are kind of still the same after this game.
It's a good point you bring up. I don't know if my expectations changed, but yeah, we'll see it against Boston College. But I think the blueprint of what is there and what we could be offensively, at least up front, if we have that consistent run game, all else equal, like if the past game has to be at least a little bit better than last year, just because of the weapons we have, Childs being another year, right? But if we are actually that dynamic, I think up front in the run game, in the zone game, and being able to, now we're not going to average 6 yards a carry like all season. That's not going to happen. But there were a lot less negative runs. I don't remember any, maybe 1 or 2 negative runs, and then they're ripping off more chunk yardage. So game 1, but I do think that there's growth there. There's stuff to get excited about. Okay, so let's go into what we wanted to dive into, and we're going to do this weekly now, is at the end of each post-game podcast, through each week, we want to give a stock up and stock down rating to some games that you watched, some teams that you watched around the Big Ten. I think this is a perfect weekend for it because you got 4 games for Thursday, you got a couple Friday, you got most of them last night, and I don't think there's another Big Ten team to play. So I think we pretty much got all 18. You got to watch a decent amount of it. Not all of them are stacked on top of each other. So you can give us however many you want on either side, stock up, stock down. What did you guys see this weekend throughout the Big Ten that kind of caught your eye?
I'm going to go Indiana stock down. I was kind of on the other side of the boat than you guys. I thought they were going to kind of keep the train rolling and still be that solid team that they were last year. And I did not think they looked very good at all. I mean, they're probably still going to win 8 or 9 games, but I don't see this team being a team that's competing for the Big Ten like they kind of did last year. So their expectations are down for me a little bit. I think stock up the 3 teams that we expect to be good in the Big Ten. Maybe they just kind of stay the same: Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. Obviously, Ohio State got a massive win. Arch Manning stock way down, by the way. But Oregon and Penn State both win huge. And they I think Ohio State is a legit national championship contender this year, which I hate to say because living in Pennsylvania, it would be unbearable to see them win a national championship. But yeah, those are I think my stock up and stock down teams.
You know who else's stock is going to go down is any company that signed Arch Manning to be on their commercials for the entirety of this year.
Yeah,
it's going to be egregiously bad to watch those.
I don't think he's going to struggle the entire year, but
I agree.
He's going to go throw 6 touchdowns next week, and everyone's going to be fine.
Yeah,
he'll play well.
My biggest stock down for sure is Nebraska. We watched that. We all were talking about that game.
Interesting.
I was not impressed. I was high on them coming into this week. I didn't think they looked great. I think the defense looked good. I think I'm more talking about Nebraska's offense. We expected to see a lot more from Loyola and the weapons around him.
Holgerson.
And you guys were talking about his throwing motion, and it looked kind of gross.
Yeah.
Like it. I don't know. It leaves a lot to be desired.
Both have terrible throwing motions.
It's not. Go ahead.
I don't remember watching him last year, and I don't know if it's changed at all or if it looks worse. I remember watching him, but I don't remember thinking that the throwing motion, and that was kind of like the first thing that stuck out to me when watching him on Thursday, was just how, like, he's he's like pushing the ball. It's really long and windy. So interesting. I didn't know you were going to go stock down with them.
Yeah, I mean, after week 1, that's kind of where I'm at. I think you mentioned Indiana, Brian. They are kind of what I thought they would be. They didn't look great. I've talked about them taking a step back. Unfortunately, my stock up for the week, I think, is going to be Michigan. I think Bryce Underwood's going to be the real deal. I wasn't too sure on what we'd get from him and that team this year. And after watching last night, I will say the Lobos played them pretty well for the majority of the game, which is good to see if you're an opponent in the Big Ten that has to play Michigan this year. But Bryce Underwood looks like the real deal. He's big, athletic, and a cannon for an arm. So
He's got a pretty throwing motion, I will say.
Yeah.
I
don't know if, like-
that's also the truth.
Who?
Justice Haynes.
They're running back.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
I don't know if I'd go Michigan total stock up because defensively, I'm not entirely sold on them. Like, I think that defense is going to be a good bit worse than they were last year and more than maybe I was thinking. Now, good bit worse for Michigan defense is still probably top 20, top 25. I don't think they're a top 5 defense.
No, I agree. I was also thinking that their defense needs some improvement, but yeah, offensively, I think it's stock up for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, when I was watching Bryce Underwood, I was impressed, and I think a lot of them were layups, but not a lot of them. Some of his throws rolling out, the throws that he made when it's clear and the picture's clear for him, and he's just kind of improvising. We talk about the Aiden Childs doing that. It's really easy for him, and I thought Michigan did a good job getting him on the perimeter. Not a ton of drop back passes that are going to be tough for him to pick up. So I was impressed with him. I would also agree stock up on just their offense in general. It'll be a really, really interesting game next week against Oklahoma. Like, I am fascinated to see that game. All right, stock up for me. I'd go Ohio State. I didn't think they were defensively, they were going to be that good. I'm still questionable on Sayin and their offense, but anytime you do that to a Texas team, I know Arch didn't look great. I know it's week 1, but I was very impressed with them. I thought offensively they hit some big plays. And yeah, anytime you beat the number 1 team in the country, week 1, I think I was impressed with them. Stock down, I'm going to go Iowa. I thought coming into the year they could be a very good team. I didn't think their quarterback was very good. It kind of just looked like same old Iowa, and maybe I should have been. Maybe I'm a fool for thinking that they were going to be maybe a little bit more. But yeah, I'm stock down on them, and then I'm also stock down on Northwestern. That might not be stunning, but they are bad.
They're bad.
They're going to be worse than Purdue, actually.
Preston Stone is really bad.
We were texting, the three of us were texting last night, and I can't believe it didn't cross my mind to have them, when we talked about our Big Ten preview, having them as the worst team in the Big Ten. I think we all were across the board Purdue. I still think it might be, I mean, between them, the tallest midget, but like, man.
I think Purdue will be not a decent amount better than Northwestern. Northwestern shifted to the worst team in the Big Ten.
I think they have a much better coach, and they have 80 transfers or whatever. But yeah, I don't think Purdue is going to be as bad as Northwestern.
Yeah,
Wisconsin might be down there as well. They should be the biggest stock down of the weekend because they were. Not only did they not look good, but Billy Edwards also got hurt, and I don't know who this quarterback is, but he ain't it. And they got to go to Bama.
They got to go to Bama next week from my memory.
No, it's in 2 weeks. Bama plays like Louisiana Monroe, I think, this week.
Poor guys. And Bama, after getting whooped by Florida State. All right, we'll go outside of the Big Ten now.
Well, let's get into our locks because that's your lock.
Yeah, we'll go to our locks. My lock was Alabama minus 13.5. I was drinking the Kool-Aid on them this year, and my God, I mean they got thoroughly dominated on both sides of the ball. I'd be stunned if Kalen DeBoer's there through this year because I don't know if they're going to make the playoff. Like if you get dominated that much by Florida State on the road, and I think Florida State's going to be good this year.
Florida State's gonna be good, I think.
Yeah, I agree, but that was rough, and so you're already behind the 8 ball there, and I think they got to play LSU. I don't have their,
listen to Bama's schedule starting October 18th.
yeah.
Tennessee, South Carolina, home against LSU, home against Oklahoma. So
Yeah,
I mean they play Louisiana Monroe, Wisconsin, and then at Georgia. If they beat Louisiana Monroe, and then I don't know what's going to happen against Wisconsin, but if they somehow lose that game and lose to Georgia, he might not make it to week 6.
All right, they're not losing to Wisconsin at home. Let's cool the jets.
We said that about Vanderbilt last year, right? So
yeah. I mean that's
I don't
fair,
think
but
I don't think they're firing him mid-season no matter what.
his buyout's like $70 million.
Is it? Okay.
That's pretty high.
I mean, he was a one-hit wonder at Washington, and you decided to hire him to replace the best college football coach in the history of the sport.
Yeah,
Pretty bold decision.
I think if they lose 4 games, so they can't lose 3 more games out of that schedule you just read us. At Georgia, I think is a loss. I think LSU.
I think Tennessee's
really
a loss.
good. And
At South Carolina?
good. That's like if they go
LSU's
8-4, I don't know if they're firing him, but it might be hard not to because that fan base will explode if 2 years into a 12-team playoff, Alabama is not part of either of them.
He's already lost twice as many games to unranked teams than Nick Saban did in his entire career.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
you're also going to get the reporters like Paul Feinbaum who are going to be like, "What's this guy doing here? He's not an SEC guy."
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
combo of that and all the fans, it's going to be tough.
All right.
Who's lock 1? Brian locks 1.
I'm starting the season off 1-0. I chose the Buckeyes because I was drinking the red Kool-Aid over there because I still think they're going to be good. Which they were good, but I think Texas also looks pretty bad. But I had them -1.5. I think the line shifted to at maybe a pick 'em or
I think
it was even maybe underdogs. But
I thought it went back just before kickoff. But either way, it was a winner.
obviously, I'm sure everyone saw the score of that game, 14-7, Ohio State. So starting the season off good, and I do think the stock is up on Julian Sain a little bit. I don't think he showed a lot in that game, but he was very accurate when he was throwing the ball, and I was impressed by him.
They had a lot of drops. I was kind of surprised by that.
They did.
Jeremiah Smith had like 3 himself.
Yeah.
My lock, the Baylor Bears, let me down yet again. So they're back on the list for me. Won't be picking them the rest of the year. I didn't get to watch a ton of the game, but I think Auburn was impressive in that win to go into Waco and do what they did. Stock might be a little bit up on Auburn after that game, but we'll see. The jury's still out on both those teams.
Jackson Arnold ran wild against them.
Yeah. I like him.
All right. That's going to do it for us. We got Boston College coming in next week. It's going to be a very big game. I'm interested to see week 1 to week 2. We talk about the growth all the time. You know, you finally put something out there week 1, and week 2 is your chance to follow up on it. And it's going to be really interesting. Boston College is going to be a great test. Anything else before we go, fellas?
No, sir.
All good. Let's go 1-0 this week.
Let's do it.
Let's go 1-0. Big week. It's an early season must win. We got to get it done. We'll talk to you midweek.